Right, what we're going to do in this video is look at the various components that are required to build a computer from scratch. Okay, what we have in front of us is the white steel object. Is basically a test bench that I use for testing various computer components, and I've got a standard VGA monitor on the right hand side. That's about it for now. What we're going to do is look at the various components that we will be needing to build this computer on this test bench. Okay, first things first, let's have a look at the power supply. Right, let's bring this in front, place it on top of the bench that we've got over here. Okay, this is the power supply unit. As you can see over here, we've got plenty of wires that will be connected to various parts for the computer. Right, if you look at the other side over here, you can see a socket and a switch on the right hand side of it. The socket is to attach a mains cable. Right, let me just get the mains cable so you can see. Right, where are we? As you can see, I'm not very organised at the moment. Haven't really planned this through, but we'll go with the flow. Right, what we've got over here is the cable. This goes into that socket within the power supply unit, and well, the plugs into the mains. So let's turn this around. Don't know whether I'm angled correctly. This basically goes into here. This goes into the mains, this plug. In this particular PSU, power supply unit, we've got an on-off switch, but sometimes this switch is not available. It varies from model to model. Right, what this power supply unit does, it is a transformer, a stepped down transformer, as well as an alternator. Basically it converts, I think alternate's the right word, basically it converts AC to DC current. And it steps it down from 240 volts, which is the standard voltage in this country, down to 12 volts. Okay, now this power supply unit supplies 3 sets of voltages. One is 3.3 volts, one is 5 volts, and one is 12 volts. That's something you might need to keep in mind. Right, now let's look at the various cables that we have over here. It's a bit like a spaghetti junction. Oh, right. Okay, nowadays you do get power supplies where you can detach and attach these individual wires according to your requirement. Those are known as modular power supply units. And well, this power supply unit is quite old, but it is quite powerful. If I'm not mistaken, it's 1000 watts, so this could run whatever hardware you chuck at it. Okay, let's look at the various cables that we have over here. The first one we've got over here is a 24-pin connector. This is known as the ATX connector. This gives a major amount of power, or basically powers up the computer. Basically, it gives the power throughout the motherboard. We'll deal with motherboards later on, but this is known as an ATX connector. and well, with all current machines they use 24 pins, but if you're looking into an older machine you might have a 20 pin connector instead. But over the past 5 years I think they've been 24 pins. Okay, now the next type of connector you will see is this one. Let's zoom in a bit so we can get a better view. Now it doesn't focus. Anyway, there we go. You can see 4 pins can be inserted within these holes, and this is known as a Molex connector. This usually gives power to various elements, such as if you've got LED lighting in your caves, that the Molex connector is usually the connector that connects to the lighting. Then like if you've got an old hard drive, it'll have an IDE connection, and those type of hard drives use the Molex connector to connect them. SATA drives use a different type of connector that I'll be showing in a minute or two. What else does this connect to? Well, basically it's bits and bobs. Like some graphics cards also have connectability with the Molex connector. I don't think I can think of anything else. These are becoming obsolete nowadays, you know. They're not being used as they once used to. Right, let's go to the next cable. Let's see what we got here. Right, this cable over here is also a power connector. This is what's replacing the Molex connector that I showed just now. Now this is basically used majorly for SATA drives, be it optical drive or hard drive or SSD drive. They usually get connected using these connectors. These are SATA power connectors. Now, what else have we got here? Right, let's have a look. Okay. Now these two connectors I'm showing you right now, this one, let's zoom out a bit, it's getting a bit hazy. Yeah. This one over here is 8 pin, and the one that I dropped just now this one over here is 4 pin, but basically these both do the same thing. These provide power to the CPU, to the processor. Now depending on what kind of motherboard you've got, you may have to use the 4 pin one or the 8 pin one. Now older models like the Core 2 Duo, the Core Quad processors, they used to use these 4 pin connectors, whereas nowadays processors, the i7s, the i5s and the i3s are using 8 pin connectors. And in extreme gaming systems, if you've got a very high-end motherboard, especially for overclocking and gaming, you would probably need 2 of these, which this particular PSU does not have, because when it was released at that time there were no motherboards that required 2 of these connectors. But if you buy a power supply unit now, and well, a pricey power supply unit, it will come bundled with 2 of these connectors. So these 2 are basically for giving the processor, the CPU, power. Right, I think there's one more type of cable that I need to show you guys, and that is this cable over here. This is the PCI Express power connector. this is specifically for giving modern graphics cards power. Now this one over here, can you see it? Maybe it's starting to get dark. Right, let's zoom in. Okay, or zoom out, maybe. Okay, anyway, this connector has 6 holes in it, and this one has 8 holes. Okay, depending on your graphics card, it might need the 6-pin one, it might need the 8-pin one, it might need both. The current graphics card that I have is the GeForce Titan. It needs 2 of these 8-pin connectors, and basically I've got 2 graphics cards in SLI, so in total I need 4 of these connectors for both the graphics cards. One thing you'll notice that this one is 8-pin, and also the CPU power supply, PSU power connector, the CPU power connector, God, that was a tongue twister, looks remarkably similar to the PCI Express 8-pin power connector, but the orientations of the pins are not the same. So they look identical, but they are not. Some of them are square on this one, some of them have slightly rounded edges. And the thing is, what is good about building a PC is you cannot plug in the wrong cable to the wrong part. If I took the power connector for the CPU and tried to plug it into the graphics card, it would not go in. Similarly, if I tried to take a PCI Express graphics card power connector and tried to insert it into the power supply socket for the CPU, it would not go in either. So if in doubt, give it a light push. If it's not going in, if it's being stubborn, that means you've got the wrong connector in your hands. Okay, that's the power supply unit done. Right, let's disconnect that, get that out of the way. Okay, time for a bit of a break.